You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News for March the 30th. Wow, Cindy. The end of March already.
Wow.
But didn't we just say, wow, it's the end of February?
We just said, wow, it's the end of December. Oh my goodness, it's the end of 2025. Happy New Year. Yeah, it's going to be April 1st on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Exactly. Boy, oh boy, already. Well, it means that hopefully the snow is behind us. April.
We get a snowstorm coming Thursday night.
Oh, well. What can we do? Well, I can let you know it's a high of 15 today.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
we're not going to be as warm as you. We're going to be +7, feeling like a +4, but I'll take it on the plus side.
Yeah, good. All right, today we got 8 stories, and our first story of the day is it's in a way it's not. We've been reporting lately on what's going on in Nova Scotia with the raids and stuff. And our first story is to deal with raids and the Indigenous stores, but it's not the exact situation, or I'm going to say exact period of time for when these charges were laid, right?
Yeah, the charges that we're talking about happened they did happen in 2025, and there were a number of truck houses that were raided. I had friends who were bud tenders at them. Now the bud tenders did have their charges dropped, just so you know.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to get started with the first story, and it's coming to us from Global News. And the headline there says, case of Mi'kmaq man facing cannabis charges moves to constitutional challenge in Nova Scotia. Now, the legal case of a Mi'kmaq man charged with selling unlicensed cannabis is moving ahead to a constitutional challenge. And this is something that Cindy and I have been mentioning over the last few weeks. Now, a provincial court judge has determined that Thomas Durfee's treaty rights are not to be considered in the initial stage of the proceedings, and court dates for his constitutional challenge will be set on April the 10th. Now, Durfee asserts that he has a legal right to sell cannabis at treaty truck houses. Now, the term used for trading posts in treaties signed by the Mi'kmaq and the British Crown in the 1700s. Now, he operates 5 truck houses where he sells cannabis alongside local art. Now, he says that if his challenge is successful, his case will allow him and his community to set a new precedent for how treaty rights apply to cannabis. Now, the cannabis shop owner was charged in 2024 with several counts related to selling and promoting the sale of cannabis after his Dartmouth business was searched. Well, there you go, Cindy. That's a quick little update on what's going on in that case. As we mentioned, it's not the raids from 2025. This is still
I thought he was earlier
together.
But yeah, he was back in 2024, so he's a bit further back than I was remembering. But like I said, I do know some of the bed tenders that were involved in that, and I do know that their charges were stayed. which is a great thing to see. I'm super excited for this constitutional challenge.
Yeah.
I do not have Mi'kma'ki blood that runs through me. I do have Indigenous blood that runs through me, and I do have step family. The gentleman that raised my mom, he's a Prosper, and he was Mi'kma'ki. So I, due to family, and even though they're not blood ancestors, they're still ancestors. I watch this very closely, and I'm super excited to see how it turns out because, the Mi'kma'ki have the right to have their trades on their land. And, if they want to get really technical, all of Turtle Island is their land. And,
Yeah. Correct.
So,
and some have been doing that by putting stores in cities, in the urban areas, not on reserved land.
Yes, it's happening here. We have, I think there's 5 or 6. There was a new one that just opened up. I haven't been there yet. I'm going to stop in today, actually. And then as I drive through New Brunswick, there's some. You go to Toronto.
Yeah.
Like there's the boardroom, but then there's 3 or 4 Indigenous owned dispensaries with lounges as well. If you walk around, you can find them.
You find them. Yep, they're there. Yep. All righty. Time to move on to the next story.
Yes, time to move on to the next story because I could talk about the Mi'kma'ki all flipping day. But the next story is coming to us from the Ounce, and Cannabis breathalyzer is ready for full sales. A Canadian company is taking a major step towards what could become a game changer in roadside cannabis testing. Cannabis Technologies says its long-awaited cannabis breathalyzer is now ready for full commercial sales, making a significant milestone in the push to detect recent cannabis use in a way that mirrors alcohol breath testing. The company's device is designed to detect THC in breath within a short window after consumption, something that's been long considered the holy grail of cannabis enforcement. Unlike blood or urine tests, which can detect THC days or even weeks or months after use, breath testing aims to identify more immediate impairment. That distinction is critical, especially in legal markets like Canada, where the presence of THC alone doesn't necessarily mean someone is impaired. Cannabis says the device has undergone years of development and validation and is now being positioned for law enforcement and workplace safety applications. The company is also working on regulatory approvals and partnerships to roll the technology out more broadly. While details on the exact deployment timelines remain limited, the announcement signals confidence that the tech is ready to move beyond the lab and into real-world use. Still, questions remain. I have tons of them. I was involved in the first round of testing. Experts have long debated whether THC levels in breath can reliably correlate with impairment, given how differently cannabis affects each individual. Critics caution that without a clear science-based backed threshold, even advanced detection tools could raise legal and ethical concerns. But if successful, this technology could reshape how cannabis use is monitored, bringing a new layer of clarity to a space that has struggled with ambiguity since legalization. For now, all eyes are on whether cannabis can deliver on its promise and whether regulators and law enforcement agencies are ready to embrace a new era of cannabis testing. Al, like I said, when I was reading that, I was involved in the first level of this. I was lucky enough to be part of that study group. I went, it was a, mid-afternoon, so I decided to not use any cannabis all day. I went in perfectly sober. I didn't take my oil. I didn't smoke any joints. And I went in and got the biggest red flag of everybody. And there was no way I was impaired. Now, I had been using it for years up to that point in time. And this is back in early 2017. So this was about a year before legalization.
Now, I see that in another report saying that they have had sold to a major construction company in the U.S. and that they believe that they'll be using this to test their employees.
Yeah, making sure they're not stoned when they show up to work.
They're not stoned when they're going back to work. Yeah.
It's interesting. I wish that I had been available or been able to follow this and be part of all of the testing along the way. I'm very honored that I was part of the beginning, because I would like to see how it works, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I would do the same thing for all levels of testing. I would go in not using that day at all and see what it says. I'm curious, straight up, because there are people out there that, you know, they think they can drive when they're high, but they can't. Early on users, and
Yeah, especially those those first timers. Yeah. And no matter what age,
yes,
whether they're 22 or whether they're 62.
yes, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. All right. From there, we're going to move on to our next story. This one is going to be a bit of an update on what's going on in the U.S. when it comes to cannabis legalization. So, or Schedule 3. Sorry, Schedule 3 rescheduling. How's that? We'll get that right. So here we go. This one is coming to us from the Cannabis Business Time, and the headline says U.S. Congressman presses DOJ DEA heads on cannabis rescheduling timeline. A U.S. congressman called into question the Department of Justice's and the Drug Enforcement Administration's sense of urgency to follow President Donald Trump's directives to loosen federal restrictions on cannabis. House Rep Stephen Cohen sent a letter on March the 27th to Attorney General Pam Bondi and DEA Administrator Terry Cole, seeking clarity on the administration's progress towards reclassifying the plant from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 under the Controlled Substances Act. The letter comes 99 days after Trump signed an executive order on December 18th, directing Bondi to take all necessary steps to complete the Schedule 3 rulemaking process in the most expeditious manner. But the president provided no deadline for Bondi to act. Cohen pointed out in the letter how the cannabis rescheduling process, initiated under the Biden administration, has been sidelined since January 2025, when the DEA's now retired administration law judge, that's John J. Mulrooney, granted an interlocutory appeal in a hearing process that was supposed to provide pro and anti rescheduling parties the opportunity to debate the merits of the proposed rule in public. But when the judge retired in August of 2025, he left the DEA with no administrative law judges to hear the matter, and Cole has yet to fill that vacancy. Therefore, how does the Drug Enforcement Agency plan to reschedule without a judge to oversee the hearing? Cohen asked in the letter on Friday. And he went on to say that what is the expected timeline for the rulemaking to be completed? In this week's letter, Cohen reminded Bondi and Cole that removing cannabis from its Schedule 1 listing is not a new idea. Although the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services recommended in August 2023 that cannabis be reclassified as Schedule 3 after conducting a thorough scientific and medical evaluation, the federal government's recognition that the plant does not belong in Schedule 1 goes back more than half a century. That's right, half a century. In 1972, the Schaefer Commission issued a report that called for decriminalizing up to 1 ounce of cannabis for public possession, recommending that the plant be removed from Schedule 1. 50 years, Cindy, and it still has not happened. Like, come on.
Yep, that's crazy.
That's crazy. And now knowing that the judge, like, we've known that the judge had retired. I knew that already. But now we know that he has not even been replaced. Is crazy. And now, and whoever does get that eventually, if it gets to that point, that person, that judge will have to get caught up again on everything that is going on. So, like,
this should have been something that they focused on replacing this government official ASAP. Like,
that's
really bad politics on them.
Yeah.
And not just for the cannabis rule, for so much. Like there's a crap ton this judge has to do, and
yeah. Well, I'm glad to see the congressman that has spoken up, written a letter to the heads to get hopefully to get a response. And if we find a response, we'll make sure that we get it to our viewers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Alrighty.
On to the next story. The next story is up and is coming to us from StratCan. German High Court rules against medical cannabis advertisements. In Germany, the country's highest court has delivered a decision ruling that could reshape how medical cannabis is communicated to the public. The Federal Court of Justice has ruled against the advertising of medical cannabis, reinforcing strict limits on how these products can be promoted, even as the country continues to expand access. At the heart of the decision is the idea that cannabis, even when prescribed medicinally, should not be marketed in a way that resembles consumer advertising. The court determined that promotional efforts aimed at the general public, including indirect or educational style campaigns, can cross the line into prohibited advertising under German law. That puts cannabis in a category similar to other tightly controlled pharmaceuticals. The ruling arrives at a pivotal moment. Germany has been moving towards broader cannabis reform, including partial legalization and a growing medical program. But this decision underscores a clear distinction. Access may be expanding, but commercialization, especially public-facing promotion, will remain tightly restricted. For companies operating in the space, the implications are significant. Marketing strategies will need to shift towards physician-focused communication and compliance-heavy messaging rather than broader brand-building campaigns. It's a reminder that even in progressive markets, cannabis is still navigating a complex regulatory identity, part medicine, part controlled substance. Pardon me, zooming out, Germany's approach may influence other international markets watching closely. As countries balance patient access with public health concerns, this ruling highlights a cautious path forward, one where normalization doesn't necessarily mean commercialization. I see both good and bad things in this story, Al. I like the line where, it's in tune with other pharmaceuticals. And for me, that's a step forward for medicinal cannabis. Like they're recognizing it in its medical form.
Yeah, but are there TVs? If we turn on a TV, we see ads for pharmaceutical medicines all the time.
They don't.
They don't over there. So
they don't.
That follows that rule then. Yeah. Okay. So I can't turn around and say, well,
yeah, no, they're letting hydromorphone on the TV. No, it's
the next is about the company's website. That some of the stuff was on the company's website, and they're a company that helps patients with access and doctors and stuff like that. I guess because the website wouldn't have been only available to clients, it was open to the public, which would get them in trouble. All righty, well, we're done that. It's time for us to take a break. What do you think? All right, we'll be back in about 3 minutes, and you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle.
Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor? If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Cindy, we got 4 more stories to cover. So we say we get at her.
Might as well get at her.
All right, here we go. First story of the second half. This one is coming to us from normal.org, and the headline says, Cannabis legalization laws associated with lower crime rates. Cannabis cultivation associations, which are sometimes referred to as a social cannabis club, have emerged as a key component of adult use legalization models in Europe. Cannabis clubs have existed for many years in Spain, albeit operating in legal gray areas. Licensed cultivation associations are expressly permitted in Malta, and as of July the 1st, 2024, they are also legal in Germany. Cultivation associations involve adult cannabis consumers becoming members of the associations and sourcing their cannabis products legally. According to the Federal Association of Cannabis Cultivation Associations, most recent data, 397 cultivation association applications have been approved so far. A total of 836 applications have been submitted nationwide. Now, the German Cannabis Business Association recently conducted a survey posing the question, currently there are at least 368 approved cannabis cultivation associations. How many do you expect by the end of 2026? Most of the responses indicated numbers between 400 to 600 grower associations, with a clear focus on around 500. Some participants estimated significantly higher figures of up to 1,000 or even 2,000 grower associations. Now, the association stated about its survey results in a previous newsletter. They said overall, the results suggest that the majority expect a significantly further growth in cannabis cultivation associations by the end of 2026, according to the industry association. Cindy, this is what we need in Canada.
Al, I have to be straight up. I didn't follow the story. I was following the cannabis legalization laws associated with lower crime rates story, but what were you reading?
Good question. What was they reading? Yeah. Yeah, right headline. Right? Whoops. Blooper live. So go ahead. What do we got here? I got it right here in front of me. Cannabis legalization. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. The enactment of laws legalizing cannabis for either medical or adult use purposes is associated with declining crime rates over time,
Yeah.
which is really exciting. I mean, something that we would have
Yes.
known.
Yeah. Then there was some researchers at the college in Connecticut that did this, along with in New York as well. And they said
Yeah.
the overall arching result from our study is that medical legalization reduces property crime, with recreational legalization reduces violent crime. Such effects support that the hypothesis that legalization drives out crime, the study authors concluded. The diverse and potentially time-varying impacts of medical and recreational legalization raise a cautionary note for policymakers. Those considering legalization should wait a few years before pronouncing on the cost-benefit impacts, focus on specific types of legalization, and study closely the outcomes from similar states. And I bet and more states are, saying that crime's gone down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Previous studies have similarly determined that cannabis legalization is associated with improvements in police clearance rates, particularly for those cases involving violent offenses.
Yeah.
I think that goes hand in hand with what we've talked about in previous shows, where alcoholics consumption is going way down, as cannabis consumption rises. And cannabis people, when we're hot, we don't want to fight. We want to hug. We want to get along. We want to play a video game. We want to laugh. We want to go walking in nature. We want to do work.
Yeah. Yeah. Not violent crime. So, alrighty. Well, from that blooper, let's move on. I know what happened.
That was great. That was wonderful.
All right. On to the next story we go.
On to the next story. Next story is coming to us from Business of Cannabis. India issues its first cannabis research grant that could help open up the market. This is really exciting. India has taken a notable step into the modern cannabis conversation, issuing what's being described as its first official government-backed research grant focused on the plant. While still early, this move could signal the beginning of a broader shift in how cannabis is studied and potentially regulated in one of the world's largest populations. The grant is aimed at supporting scientific research into cannabis and its potential medicinal applications for a country with deep historical ties to the plant, particularly through traditional practices like, sorry, my thing started going off. Sorry, I got distracted with a phone call. For a country with deep historical ties to the plant, particularly through traditional practices like Ayurveda, this represents a bridging of ancient knowledge and modern science. Researchers will now have an opportunity to explore cannabinoids in a more formalized government-supported setting. What makes this development particularly interesting is its potential ripple effect. India has long maintained strict controls on cannabis, especially in its more potent forms, despite widespread cultural familiarity with preparations like Bhang. But funding research, regulators may be laying the groundwork for evidence-based policy changes, fingers crossed, something that has driven reform in other parts of the world. Industry observers are watching closely. If the research yields promising results, it could open the door to a regulated medical cannabis market, which would be wicked, and possibly even broader economic opportunities tied to cultivation and export. But for now, the focus remains on science and on building a credible foundation for future decisions. In a global landscape where cannabis policy is evolving rapidly, India's cautious but deliberate approach stands out. It's not a leap into legalization, but it's a meaningful first step towards understanding the plant on its own terms. It's nice to see India doing this, Al.
Sure is. I say the more countries that are doing the studies, the better it is.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no doubt about that. So the I see I believe it's the first time they've done that since it said something about some psychotropic um, drug type law or act that they put into place. It was back in 1985, so 40 years, and they're finally getting around to doing some thing on the end of the cannabis file. And the more studies, as said, the better for everybody worldwide.
Okay.
So
That's
all
right.
right. Anything else on that story?
I think we're good.
All right, you're done. We'll move on to the next one. This one's coming to us from Marijuana Moment, and the headline on that says Republicans are twice as likely as Democrats to see marijuana use as morally wrong, the poll shows. I believe I got the right information this time, folks. Americans across every demographic, age, gender, religion, and political affiliation all agree that using cannabis is not morally wrong, according to the new polling report from the Pew Research Center. However, Republicans are still twice as likely as Democrats to say consuming cannabis is a moral no-no. The survey results show. The analysis was based on a recent poll that asked Americans about their views on the morality of a variety of behaviors and policies. Overall, 76% of U.S. adults said using cannabis is either morally acceptable or not a moral issue at all, compared to 23% who said the activity is immoral. More Americans believe using cannabis is not morally wrong than those who feel the same about gambling, watching pornography, having an abortion, being gay, the death penalty, and more. Cannabis is considered decidedly less moral than alcohol. However, with only 16% of respondents calling it morally wrong to drink. That said, a closer look at the demographic data on the marijuana question shows that, by and large, the prevailing opinion is that smoking cannabis doesn't make someone a bad person. Now, men and women are equally likely to say using cannabis isn't immoral, at 76%. While there is a notable divide, however, concerns politics. While a majority of Americans on both sides of the aisle say consuming cannabis isn't morally wrong, that's 69% of the Republicans and 84% of the Democrats. Republicans, that's at 30%, were 2 times as likely as Democrats to say using cannabis is immoral. The fact that people are less likely to have moral concerns about alcohol isn't particularly surprising, as more Americans report drinking alcohol than use cannabis, and its status as a widely available legal substance for adults in all 50 states may contribute to perceptions of morality. But it also comes amid a broader shift in public opinion that's being detailed in prior polling. For example, a survey released last year found that a majority of Americans believe cannabis represents a healthier option than alcohol, and most also expect cannabis to be legal nationwide within the next 5 years. There you go, Cindy. In the next 5 years. Wow. Hopefully that happens. But as far as the headline goes, there used to be a lot of people I know at one time that were totally against it for moral reasons, because you're breaking a law. Was one of them. Yep. And now as it becomes more legal in states and countries, things are going on the upswing.
Like we watched, the similar movement in that here in Canada. As it became legal and more people, and like, you and I have both been involved in the industry a long time. On the day it became legal, what was that, October 17th, 2018, I woke up to all kinds of messages from friends and relatives that thought it morally wrong until that moment that it was first sold in a first legal store. And then I got hit with questions. Now it was morally okay according to the law.
Because it's legal now.
Yeah, and a lot of those people have moved into using cannabis and falling away from the alcohol. I've watched it in my own personal life, real world, and the polls have said it too. So I have no doubt that as things move along in the United States, and it becomes legalized, we will see those numbers drop as people stop drinking, because they'll realize that they can have just as much fun, remember everything, and not hurt their body.
Yeah, exactly. Not suffer the next day for it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Last story of the day.
Last story of the day. I get the last story of the day. Woohoo! Coming to us from UC Berkeley News, using virtual reality and psychedelics to restore brain function. This is really cool. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, are exploring a cutting-edge intersection of technology and psychedelics, combining virtual reality with psychedelic compounds in an effort to restore brain function and enhance mental health treatments. The idea is rooted in neuroplasticity. I talk about this all the time. The brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections. Psychedelics have already shown promise in promoting this kind of flexibility, particularly in conditions like depression and PTSD. Now, scientists are investigating whether immersive virtual environments can help guide and reinforce those changes, essentially shaping how the brain rewires itself during and after a psychedelic experience. In practice, this could mean patients undergoing carefully controlled psychedelic sessions while immersed in therapeutic virtual landscapes designed to encourage specific emotional or cognitive outcomes. Researchers believe that pairing these tools could amplify the benefits of each, with VR providing structure and direction, and psychedelics opening the brain to change. While the research is still in its early stages, the implications are significant. If successful, this approach could lead to highly personalized treatments that go beyond modern-day talk therapy or medication. It also reflects a broader trend in psychedelic science, one that emphasizes not just the substance themselves, but the context, the environment, and the experience surrounding the use. As this field continues to evolve, innovations like this highlight how interdisciplinary psychedelic research has become. It's no longer just about chemistry. It's about technology, psychology, and the complex ways they interact to shape the human mind. I think that this is exciting, Al. The technology can help in with our set and setting and give beautiful visuals that will help the neuroplasticity work in a ways that people can change their patterns while on the psychedelics. And I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I was reading through there, and it also mentions there that they can see what the brain is doing in real life as they administer different medicines.
Yeah, well, of course they can put monitors on and see what happens. The school that I went to that was coming out of Mexico, the 5 training school, they work with some of these Ivy League universities who were down there doing studies where people would take the Bufo or the 5-MeO and they would watch what was going on in the brain. And that's really cool to do because it helps with this technology. I've had the joy of, I wasn't using psychedelics at the time during that, this particular set. And I went and did what we call light therapy, which is a version sort of VR, but your eyes are closed and they use these lights to, in specific patterns and ways, to help your brain find that neuroplastic without the substance. And it's just really, really cool. Cool stuff, technology. Yeah.
So it'd be like a virtual feeling of a high is what you went through.
Kind of. Yeah. Like I really did feel like I was going through a DMT experience when I was, with the lights. It was really, really something amazing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All righty. Anything else offhand?
Yes. I need to share something if that's okay. I spoke the last thing. They're not up on the internet yet, but I can share it. The Nova Scotia Psychedelic Society social is coming up on April 24th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. And you can show up a few minutes early if you want. So this is a social and a potluck. If you have something to bring and share with the group, bring it and share it with the group. There's usually always really good food at these things. And this time we have somebody coming in to speak. His name is Rich Toy. So TYO, Rich TYO. He is a psychedelic therapist, and he's coming in to talk with us about psychedelics and safe touch. Just a little bit about Rich. He is a psychotherapist and psychedelic educator with over 13 years of experience supporting preparation and integration of transpersonal experiences through a somatic, relational, and harm reduction lens. He teaches psilocybin and MDMA-assisted psychotherapy through Therasil, and guest lectures internationally, while also facilitating experiential training in psychedelic space holding. So he's coming in on April 24th to speak through the Nova Scotia Psychedelic Society at the Shambhala Centre on Tower Road. We've got a little bit more time. I will make sure that we have everything to share with you guys, and we'll share it on our socials as well as the Nova Scotia Psychedelic socials. This is going to be an amazing talk. I'm only going to get the last hour of it, which makes me really sad. I'll be there for the question and answer. I'm hoping that my fellow board members will record it so we can share it, because this is going to be an epic talk. Psychedelics and touch. I can't wait.
But yeah, because you'll be coming in from you're heading out west for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we start this is from 7 to 10. I land at 8 p.m.
Yeah, if you're on time.
So I'm gonna have to come in. I'm gonna have to grab my luggage. I'm gonna run out to the car, and I'm gonna I'll be there for the question, answer, mingle period. But I won't be there for the lecture period, which is sad. So like I said, I'm hoping that somebody will record it for 2 reasons, so I can see it, and I really do believe this is going to be a very interesting and very important talk to have. Safe touch and psychedelics is an extremely important subject, one that I hold near and dear to my heart. And I really can't wait for Rich to come in and speak. And I really want to see it, and I really want to share it.
All right. That sounds very good. Something that people should check out. And even though Cindy will be away leading up to that, I'll make sure that I give a little shout out to the event beforehand. So.
Thank you, Al. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. That's it for today. Thanks go out to everybody for tuning into the broadcast, as well as to our sponsors, Limestone City, Hydroponics.ca, the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. I was in there over the weekend, went in to see Sharon, said hi, found some Gazette papers. All right, got myself another carton. Yeah.
I've discovered something different now. So I have moved on to the rice paper.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it's a Blazy Susan rice paper. And if you haven't tried it, this is amazing.
It is. Yeah, I haven't been able to find them, and they happen to get some in, so I jumped all over that. As well as I got to say thanks to At-Eze.ca. And did you want to say something?
Nope, I'm listening.
All right. Other than that, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.